enforcement here. But what we just heard provides tremendous new detail on the conversations here, that it was Robinson's mother who said to his father, you know, we need to look into this further, who told police, I'm quoting here, that her son had started to lean more to the left. She's the one who said that Robinson was beginning to date his roommate here, his romantic partner.
Echoing whispers, overlapping and fading like distant confessions. Mom, he's different now. He's dating his roommate. He supports transgender rights. He said Charlie Kirk is dangerous. That's him. That's his face in the photo. These aren't idle rumors. They are eyewitness accounts. Pieces of a puzzle spoken by people who thought they knew Tyler Robinson before his name filled headlines, and before Charlie Kirk was killed on a college campus stage in Utah. On paper, Tyler seemed ordinary. A 22-year-old apprentice electrician, raised in a conservative household, a son, a friend, a partner. But those closest to him say things changed. His politics, his relationships, his sense of self, and people around him noticed. Then came the shooting. One rifle shot from an elevated position. Evidence recovered by investigators and later reported in the press tied a firearm to the suspect. A note found among his effects and digital messages recovered by forensic teams are all now part of the case file. So the questions remain. Why did Tyler Robinson allegedly kill Charlie Kirk? What did family members tell investigators that shifted the narrative? Was this an act of political violence, or the product of a more complicated personal life and private turmoil? The evidence prosecutors have presented is unsettling. But before the world judged him, people closest to Tyler said they had already seen warning signs. If you want the full, carefully sourced reporting beyond the headlines, subscribe and follow. We'll cover verified updates as they become public. Every investigation relies on evidence. In this case, much of the most compelling material came from people who knew Tyler personally. First, the roommate. More than a roommate, this person was Tyler's romantic partner and is a transgender individual. They are not accused of the shooting. According to reports, they cooperated with investigators and provided messages and other materials that investigators say helped reconstruct events. Their cooperation exposed private communications, and the public debate has since placed an intense spotlight on their identity. Investigators also recovered messages Tyler reportedly sent in moments of frustration and anger, messages that prosecutors describe as important to establishing what he knew and intended. Those messages reportedly included references to the firearm's location and other material investigators considered relevant to the case. Then there was Tyler's mother. Her statements to investigators, as reported, describe a shift in her son, a movement toward publicly defending LGBTQ people and trans rights, and increased political engagement that concerned her. She and Tyler's father later identified him in surveillance photos and, according to reports, helped persuade him to surrender to authorities. That cooperation, by a partner and by parents, has provoked intense debate. Some call the roommate courageous for turning over evidence. Others view that exposure as exploitation. Some applaud the mother for telling investigators what she knew. Others worry her words have been used in political arguments she never intended to start. It's a wrenching question. What does loyalty mean when silence could make you complicit? What does love mean when telling the truth may lead to criminal charges for someone you care about? The case against Tyler Robinson, as prosecutors have laid it out, rests on multiple lines of evidence. Investigators recovered a bolt-action rifle at the scene of their search. Forensic testing reported in public filings and media summaries tied physical evidence to a single suspect. Shell casings and other material recovered at locations connected to the investigation are part of the physical record. Authorities also point to a handwritten note found among the suspect's possessions and to digital forensic evidence, text messages, and other electronic records that they say help explain planning and actions on the day of the event. Taken together, prosecutors say the physical evidence, the digital trail, and witness statements establish premeditation and intent. The presence of aggravating factors, including the political context of the event and reports that minors were present in the audience, have been cited by some officials as elements that increase the severity of the charges. September 10, 2025, Utah Valley University, Orem, Utah. students had gathered for an event headlined by Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, and a polarizing figure in contemporary political debate. As Kirk spoke, a single shot rang out. He collapsed on stage. The campus erupted into panic. Surveillance photos and video of a person carrying a rifle case circulated widely. Within hours, those images reached national media. Tyler Robinson's parents, according to released reports, recognized him in those images and later persuaded him to turn himself in. By September 11th, the suspect had surrendered. News organizations and public officials reacted almost immediately. Prosecutors filed charges, and the public discourse escalated quickly. Who was Tyler James Robinson, 22 years old, a resident of St. George, Utah, and an electrical apprentice? Raised in a conservative family, friends and relatives describe the household as politically traditional. Over time, however, sources say Tyler became more publicly outspoken in defense of LGBTQ rights and began a relationship with a partner who is transgender. Those changes, family members and acquaintances told investigators, led to tension inside his family. Online activity, according to investigators' filings and public reporting, also figures into the narrative prosecutors have presented. Time spent in online communities that mixed politics and meme culture, and material investigators say connected the suspect to certain symbols and language found at crime-related locations. All of this creates a stark contradiction for those who knew him. A young man raised one way at home who, according to reports, had shifted beliefs and associations in ways that alarmed some family members. Motive remains complicated. Prosecutors argue this was an ideologically motivated act, that the suspect viewed Kirk's rhetoric as targeted harm toward transgender people and acted on that belief. The defendant's relationship and family tensions are part of the broader picture prosecutors have described, but motive is rarely reducible to a single cause. Mental health, family conflict, social isolation, exposure to radical online content, and personal crises may all play a role in how someone arrives at a violent act. Defense teams and independent analysts often point out that evidence pointing to motive in a criminal case requires careful scrutiny and cannot be assumed conclusive without full discovery and trial. Questions also remain about what the partner knew and when, and what signs, if any, were visible beforehand. Their cooperation with investigators has raised complex questions about privacy, public exposure, and the ethics of sharing intimate communications that become evidence. The public reaction was immediate and polarized. Conservative commentators framed the killing as proof that political violence has become a present danger. Many on the right demanded harsh penalties and called for stronger security at public events. Progressive voices condemned the act and pointed to the climate of hostile rhetoric around LGBTQ people as part of the context in which such violence can occur. Others urged caution, calling for restraint, thorough investigation, and a reminder that allegations must be resolved through the courts. On social media, speculation, misinformation, and graphic imagery spread rapidly. Photos of shell casings and other evidence were shared without context. Memes and conspiracy theories amplified confusion. The case has become a mirror, reflecting fault lines in American society. Family estrangement over identity, the weaponization of online culture, and the erosion of civil discourse. Where things stand now, Tyler Robinson stands accused of killing Charlie Kirk. Authorities point to physical evidence, digital messages, witness statements, and other material in support of charges. The case raises profound questions about ideology, identity, and accountability, and about the limits of understanding another person's inner life. If you want careful, verified updates as the legal process moves forward, subscribe and enable notifications. We'll focus on official filings, court records, and statements from verified sources, not rumor or speculation. This is not the end. New verifiable details may emerge that change what we think we know. For now, the case serves as a sobering example of how personal conflicts, political rhetoric, and online subcultures can intersect with tragic consequences.